Late one night, a curious college student named Evan sat alone in his dorm room, lit only by the pale glow of his laptop screen. He had always been intrigued by the unknown, and after hearing rumors about the deep web, his fascination grew. The stories he had read online spoke of hidden corners of the internet where anything could be found, things too vile or dangerous for the surface web. It was a place shrouded in mystery, and Evan, fueled by equal parts boredom and bravado, decided to see it for himself. He downloaded the necessary software to access the deep web, and soon found himself navigating a labyrinth of cryptic links and forums. At first, the experience was underwhelming, mostly old conspiracy theories, amateur hackers bragging about exploits, and poorly run black markets. But then, as he clicked on a seemingly innocuous link titled Interactive Experiences, his laptop screen flickered and went black for a moment. When it returned, the page he was on looked different. The site was plain, with a simple black background and bold red text that read, "Welcome to the Watcher's Room." Below it was a single button labeled, "Join the show." Against his better judgment, Evan clicked. A live video feed appeared, showing a dimly lit room. In the center of the room was a man tied to a chair, his face bruised and his eyes wild with terror. A masked figure, tall and imposing, stood nearby, holding what looked like a scalpel. Evan's stomach churned. This wasn't a movie or a staged performance. It felt too real. A chat box appeared on the side of the screen, filled with comments from anonymous users. They were egging the masked figure on, suggesting increasingly cruel ways to torment the man in the chair. Evan tried to exit the site, but his cursor froze. He slammed his keyboard, but nothing worked. Then the chat box pinged with a new message, highlighted in red. "Welcome, Evan. You're our newest guest." His blood ran cold. How did they know his name? He quickly covered his webcam, but another message popped up. "We already see you. Covering the camera won't help." Panic set in. Evan tried to shut down his laptop, but the screen remained on, showing the horrifying scene unfolding in the room. The masked figure turned toward the camera, tilting their head as if listening to someone speak. A robotic voice echoed through Evan's speakers. "Let's make this personal, shall we?" The screen switched to a live feed of Evan's dorm room. He gasped, seeing himself on the screen, staring wide-eyed at his laptop. He spun around, searching the room for a hidden camera, but found nothing. His heart pounded as he noticed a figure standing in the hallway just outside his door, visible through the small window. The figure wore the same mask as the one on the screen. A new message appeared. "Run." Without hesitation, Evan bolted from his chair and sprinted down the dormitory hallway, his mind racing. He heard footsteps behind him, heavy and deliberate. As he rounded a corner, he collided with a campus security guard. Gasping for breath, he tried to explain what was happening, but when they returned to his dorm room, it was empty. His laptop was gone, the door was locked, and there was no sign of the masked figure. For weeks after the incident, Evan couldn't sleep. He reported everything to the authorities, but they dismissed it as a prank or a case of overactive imagination. Yet deep down, he knew the truth. The Watcher's Room was real, and whoever or whatever was behind it had chosen him as their latest pawn. The worst part? He kept receiving emails from anonymous senders with subject lines like, "Miss us? And you can't hide forever." Every night, he wondered if the next knock at his door would be his last.
Story number 2.
Late one evening, Claire, a single mother in her late 30s, was scrolling through forums on the dark web. She had no interest in the grim rumors surrounding it. She was simply desperate. Her daughter, Mia, had gone missing a month ago, and the police had no leads. After exhausting every conventional option, Claire turned to the deep web, hoping to stumble across any information or clues. While navigating shadowy forums and encrypted chat rooms, she found a link titled The Midnight Exchange. The description claimed it was a community where lost things could be found for a price. Desperation outweighed caution, and Claire clicked the link. The page loaded slowly, revealing a minimalist site with a single search bar and the instruction, "Enter what you're looking for." Claire hesitated for a moment before typing, "Mia Thompson, age 8. She hit enter. The screen went black for a few seconds before displaying a countdown, 15. Beneath it, a message appeared, "Stay online. We are searching." Claire's pulse quickened as the countdown ticked away. At exactly 0, a file appeared, MiaThompson.mp4. Her hands trembled as she clicked it. The video started with a low hum, the screen grainy and distorted. Gradually, the image became clearer, showing a dimly lit room with peeling wallpaper. There, sitting on a dirty mattress, was Mia. Her face was pale, her hair matted, and her eyes red from crying. Mia? Claire whispered at the screen. The little girl suddenly looked up, as if she could hear her mother through the video. Tears streamed down Claire's face. Before she could process what she was seeing, text flashed on the screen. She's alive, for now. Want her back? Follow our instructions. A list of demands appeared. They wanted money, an obscene amount Claire didn't have, but they also wanted something far more disturbing. Someone to take her place. Claire's heart sank. She couldn't imagine sacrificing another person for her daughter, but time was running out. Another message appeared. We'll give you 24 hours to decide. You know how to find us. Claire spent the night wrestling with her conscience. Could she live with herself if she lured someone else into this nightmare? But the thought of Mia suffering in that place was unbearable. She thought of her neighbor, an elderly man who lived alone and rarely left his house. He wouldn't be missed quickly, she reasoned. The next night, Claire returned to the site and submitted the neighbor's name and address. She instantly felt sick to her stomach, but a message flashed on the screen. Well done. Prepare to receive your package. 2 days later, a knock came at her door. Claire opened it to find Mia standing there, shivering and terrified. She embraced her daughter tightly, sobbing with relief. But as she pulled Mia inside, she noticed something chilling on the doorstep, a small box with a note attached. The note read, "You owe us." Claire opened the box with shaking hands. Inside was a USB drive. Against her better judgment, she plugged it into her computer. The screen flickered and a new video began playing. It showed her elderly neighbor tied to a chair, surrounded by masked figures. One of them leaned into the camera and whispered, "We'll be in touch." From that day on, Claire lived in constant fear. Every knock at the door, every shadow outside her window felt like a threat. She had saved her daughter, but at what cost? And deep down she knew the debt she owed would one day come due.
Story number 3.
It was a cold, rainy night when Alex stumbled upon the link. He had been exploring the darker corners of the internet, driven by boredom and a dangerous sense of curiosity. Most of what he found was harmless: amateur hackers showing off, forgotten forums filled with conspiracy theories, and strange, outdated websites. But this link was different. Titled Father's Room, it sat at the bottom of an old thread with no replies. The description was chillingly simple: enter only if you seek the truth, but beware, Father always watches. Alex hesitated. Something about it felt wrong, but curiosity gnawed at him. Against his better judgment, he clicked. The site loaded slowly, the screen dark except for a single white door in the center. Beneath it, a button read, "Knock to enter." Alex chuckled nervously at the theatrics, but clicked the button anyway. The screen flickered and the door creaked open. A video feed began to play. It showed a dimly lit room, empty except for an old wooden chair in the center. On the chair sat a doll, handcrafted with mismatched button eyes and a stitched smile. The doll's head was tilted, as if it were staring directly at Alex. A text box appeared on the side of the screen. "Welcome, child. Father is pleased you've arrived." Alex typed hesitantly. "What is this?" The reply was instant. "This is Father's room. You have been chosen to join the family. All you must do is obey." A chill ran down Alex's spine. He typed, "I'm not interested. Just stumbled here by accident." The text box stayed blank for a moment before responding. "There are no accidents, child. You knocked. Now Father watches." Suddenly the video feed shifted. The camera zoomed out, revealing a man standing in the corner of the room. His face was obscured by shadows, but his silhouette was imposing, tall, with unnaturally long arms. He stepped forward slowly, the light catching a featureless porcelain mask covering his face. "Leave now," Alex typed frantically, his fingers trembling. The reply was immediate. "Father decides when you leave." As Alex stared at the screen, the man reached into his pocket and pulled out a piece of paper. He held it up to the camera. Written on it in jagged handwriting was Alex's full name and address. Panic set in. He slammed his laptop shut and yanked the power cord out. His heart raced as he double-checked that all his doors and windows were locked. He paced the room, trying to convince himself it was some elaborate prank. But deep down, he knew it wasn't. That night, sleep eluded him. Every sound outside his window, every creak of the floorboards, made his heart pound. At 3 a.m., a soft knock came at his front door. Alex froze. The knock came again, louder this time. Gathering his courage, he peeked through the peephole. No one was there. As he stepped back, a text alert buzzed on his phone. The message was from an unknown number. Father doesn't like to be ignored. Alex threw his phone down, grabbed a knife from the kitchen, and locked himself in his bedroom. Hours passed in tense silence until the sun began to rise. Exhausted but alive, he finally drifted off. When he awoke, his laptop was on, even though he had unplugged it. The screen displayed the same room, but the doll was gone. In its place was a new object, the knife he had taken to bed, now stained with fresh blood. A message appeared on the screen. "Welcome to the family, child. Obedience is key." Alex never left his apartment again. He became a prisoner in his own home, haunted by knocks in the night and cryptic messages that appeared on every screen he owned. No one believed his story, and the police found no evidence of foul play. But every so often, when Alex dared to look out his window, he would see a figure standing in the distance, tall, featureless, and always watching.
Story number 4.
In a small, isolated town nestled deep in the mountains, there was a local legend about a website known only as the Silent Whale. No one knew who created it or when it first appeared, but everyone agreed on one thing. Visiting the site came with a terrible price. It was said to hold a live feed of unspeakable horrors, and anyone who watched was cursed to become part of the show. Lila had heard the stories growing up, but she never believed them. She was a skeptic, a budding journalist hungry for a story that would make her name. When she overheard a group of teenagers whispering about the site at a coffee shop, she couldn't resist the lure of investigating. With a mix of arrogance and curiosity, she decided to find the Silent Whale for herself. It wasn't easy. The site was buried deep within the dark web, hidden behind layers of encryption and passwords. Hours of searching led her to a cryptic forum where users exchanged hints and riddles. After piecing together the clues, she finally found the link. Her hands trembled as she clicked it. The screen went black, then faded into a static-filled live feed. It showed an old wooden staircase, dimly lit by a single flickering bulb. A timer in the corner of the screen counted down from 5 minutes. Beneath the feed was a single line of text: "Stay until the end, or they'll come for you." Lila frowned. It was obviously some kind of prank or RG. She decided to play along, her curiosity outweighing her unease. The timer ticked down as she stared at the staircase. Nothing happened. At the 2-minute mark, something shifted. A shadow moved across the stairs, just out of frame. Lila leaned closer, squinting at the screen. The shadow returned, this time lingering. It was humanoid, but wrong. Its limbs were elongated, its movements unnatural. It crept down the stairs slowly, its head twisting at odd angles as though sniffing the air. Lila's heart began to race. She told herself it was just a clever video, but she couldn't look away. As the timer reached 30 seconds, the figure stopped at the bottom of the stairs. It turned, staring directly into the camera. Its face was featureless, save for a gaping mouth that opened slowly, impossibly wide. A low, guttural wail began to emanate from her speakers, growing louder and louder. When the timer hit 0, the screen went black. Lila sat frozen, her heart pounding in her chest. Suddenly, her reflection appeared on the screen, except it wasn't just her. Behind her stood the figure from the video, its distorted face looming over her shoulder. She whipped around, but nothing was there. Her apartment was silent, save for her ragged breathing. She laughed nervously, trying to shake off the fear. "It's just a trick," she muttered. Her phone buzzed. She picked it up to see a message from an unknown number. "You didn't stay until the end." Panic surged through her. She hadn't closed the site. She had stayed until the timer hit 0. She typed back, "What do you mean?" The response came instantly. "It's not about the timer. It's about what comes after." The lights in her apartment flickered. From the corner of her eye, she saw movement in the hallway. She grabbed a flashlight and crept toward the noise, her breath shallow. The hallway was empty. But her reflection in the mirror wasn't. The figure stood behind her again, closer this time. The guttural wail began anew, this time coming from everywhere and nowhere. Lila ran to her computer, desperate to close the site, but the screen displayed only static. She unplugged it, but the wail continued to grow louder. A cold breath brushed against her neck. Slowly, she turned around. The figure was there, towering over her, its mouth gaping wide as the sound reached a deafening crescendo. The next morning, Lila's apartment was empty. Her computer and phone were gone. On the floor where she had been sitting was a single piece of paper with one word scrawled in blood-red ink: next. In the weeks that followed, a new link began circulating on the dark web. It led to a live feed of a staircase and a timer counting down. Beneath it, a new line of text appeared. Stay until the end, or they'll come for you.